Go ahead and get started. Huh?
She's right there. Commissioner Walker.
Okay.
She's right there. Right at the door.
Soon as Commissioner walk into the chamber and get situated, we'll get started. She's right out at the door.
Good evening. Remember, you took 5 hours to look for a pen. Thank you, Mayor and your commissioners. They forget me.
Okay, we get started. City Attorney, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
City Clerk,
Yes, sir.
City Manager,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Here.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Sergeant Allen Lieutenant. Thank you. I call this workshop of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019, to order at 6:08 p.m. May we please stand for the invocation given by Deacon Coven, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Father, tonight we're thankful for our city. We're thankful that you are watching over us. And God, as our commissioners and mayor and those involved, Lord, you'll run the business. I pray that you'll give them divine guidance. Just lead our city and help us to be in your will. And we'll praise you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Babb,
Present.
Commissioner Everett,
Present.
Commissioner Hill. Present. Vice Mayor Mervin. Present. Commissioner Walker,
Present.
City Manager,
Here.
City Attorney,
Present.
Lieutenant Piccolo,
Here.
Interim City Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, staff. And thank each of you all for being here tonight to participate in our workshop of Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019. This workshop of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee is being held to discuss the January 22nd, 2019 agenda. At this time, I will turn this portion over to our city manager, who will lead us in the discussion of our agenda items.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission, residents. Thanks for joining us tonight. We have a light agenda tonight. We have a resolution, and we'll be adding to that a proclamation and additions and deletions. And we also have 3 presentations for businesses of the month. I know there was a discussion about maybe only having 2, but we'll have 3. Tonight, we have all 3 certificates ready for those 3 businesses for the month. We have a discussion of potential foreclosure. Of course, we want to nominate two residents for the audit committee. And of course, if there's any updates on the marina lease, we'll hear from the city attorney as well, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, City Manager. City Commissioners, are there any question as it pertains to any agenda item for further discussion prior to the regular meeting?
No discussion as it relates to agenda items. I know that in our last meeting, well, I guess it will be, with, I see here it says memo audit committee. Who picked the two candidates? I mean,
We didn't pick anyone the last time. We wanted to wait and sort of vet some potential candidates, had an opportunity to speak with those candidates. And so I wanted to make sure who we were thinking about were available. But, you know, we can have that discussion when we get down to it. So there was no recommendations made at the last meeting. It was just,
so how was these persons vetted?
well, one's the bank manager, the other is a CPA auditor.
Yeah, no, I
for
understand.
the firm.
No, I'm not saying so much about the qualifications. I was just wondering, how do we go about, how was the selection?
Well, there's no selection. It's just, we thought about who could best serve on that audit committee and help us make a decision on who our next auditing firm should be. And just by the nature of their profession, their qualifications sort of peaked to the top of all the other potential, residents that we can
Okay,
recommend.
so
So it could be others, but those were the two that sort of bubbled to the top when it comes to audit and understanding financial firms and how they operate, for us auditing firms is concerned.
If I could add, I think at our last commission meeting, when we was discussing that, the city manager had mentioned the fact that he felt that the banking person was a good fit for the committee, and I kind of suggested maybe we should also, in addition to that, look at a CPR and those how CPA, I'm sorry, and those how those two position kind of came about. But as he indicated, there is no final decision. The commission would actually make the final decision. He would make a recommendation, but we'll make the decision. And if someone else have someone they want to consider, we certainly want to entertain that also.
Correct.
And I understood that. I was just wondering about the selection process, and I guess I was getting to the point of, as a commission, do we feel the need of advertising it? How are we going to move forward with? I know you're saying he's going to make recommendations, but what are we going to do? He makes recommendations, then we're going to approve it. But my only thing is, he only has two persons. What are we going to do?
Mayor and Commission, those are just my thoughts. This commission can recommend and vote on anyone they feel fit qualifies. Those are just my recommendations.
I guess my only concern has been, and I'm not against who I think you have, and I want that to be clear, but I'm also wondering, was it advertised? Or did we see the
were we
need to
involved in the process?
advertise?
Yeah, I
If
think,
individuals wanted to participate.
yeah, I think part of the discussion, and we didn't go in any details on it, but we did kind of mention about advertising, but we felt that that would prolong the selection of the persons for this committee, and it was a little more of a time constraint that we was trying to be under to have this completed, because we're planning, I would think, on actually hiring a audit firm pretty soon. It just would delay it for maybe another 2 or 3 weeks, I'm thinking, if we advertise, then go through a application process. But nothing wrong with that, but I think due to the time constraint, that was one of the factors of trying to have some, I don't want to use the word quick, but some thoughtful folks to be able to move forward with this.
I think you were mainly asking how are we gonna be in the process of making those choices? Is that what you were mainly going
Well,
towards?
not just the two choices, but you know, I did make mention in our previous meeting, which was 2 weeks ago, about at least, you know, were we looking at maybe doing a little form, because I do recall mentioning about a form, maybe they could fill out, to go through that bidding.
For all our committees, there is an application. You come into City Hall and fill out, and you put your name of what committee you're interested in. And because we haven't had the need for the audit committee for so many years, because we've kept the same auditors for quite some time, now we want to ensure that we're in compliance with our Inspector General and having an audit committee. And now we have to take it back for RP, and it hasn't been out for such a long time. But there is a application for all committees.
And my intent is not to delay our workshop with talking about the audit. I just, you know, want us to, you know, make sure we're as a city, in the city commission, we're doing our due diligence in making sure that we make it open and available for interested persons. Yes, we have that bank manager or that CPA, but there may be other persons within our community that have that skill set that could participate on this audit committee. Me personally, I don't have anyone to choose from. But, you know, just making sure that we do our due diligence.
Yeah, we can make some recommendations tonight. You can vote on those recommendations, and we can also advertise it for another 2 weeks as well. And if there's some interested persons that want to be added to that committee, you're welcome to do so in the next 2 weeks. There are some time constraints because we're at the first of the year. We did put an RP out, but the city attorney did come back and say, hey, we need to do our due diligence for our code of ordinances and ensure we're in compliance. So that's why we're here today. But we can do both, actually, you know. And again, those folks would have to respond that you recommend, that it's a yes, that they will, you know, serve. I've had some infant conversations with them, but, you know, it's the pleasure of the commission that we will go with this audit committee.
Okay, so I think Commissioner Everett, that's the direction we could go into if you would make that motion during a,
What's that?
to have a application process, at least 2 weeks application process for anyone who may be interested. And we can actually publicize it on our website and Facebook or whatever we deem necessary to get the word out. And also, any commission know anyone that may possibly be interested, just contact them directly to let them know that we will be having an application process for this committee. Any additional questions? If none, we'll have the city manager just go into some of the highlights of his report at this time.
Thanks, Mayor. I had a conference call with Palm Beach County on the gymnasium renovations. They're in the middle stages of doing a selection process for the contractor that's going to do the renovations on the gymnasium. They indicated that that'll probably take another week or so before they get all those details worked out. And until those things happen, they won't be able to give us a definitive date, start date, on when the construction would take place. But we anticipate a couple more weeks for them to settle in and get all of their prerequisites, administrative prerequisites out of the way, and then they'll come back and give us a definitive date on when they'll get started with renovating the gym. As you know, the gymnasium, the first level is being renovated by Palm Beach County through Housing and Economic Sustainability Department. The county, great partners with us over the years. They have provided us funds to do that, and we're very grateful. However, they will be the operating partner they will be overseeing all of the construction, all of the bidding, et cetera, to secure that vendor. So we're going on their timeline and their administrative prerequisites until that project is started. So we're hoping over the next couple of weeks here we can get all of that out of the way, and they'll give us a timeline, an actual calendar schedule that will provide us a more in-depth look of how long it's going to take to finish those renovations. We don't suspect it'll take more than 2 to 3 months. We're hoping by summer we'll be back in the gymnasium. Our football field, one of our Surtax projects, I heard from Field Turf representative actually today. Again, they had to do some soil sampling, get their engineers out, and do some additional specs on the location itself. Their engineer is now in the design phase. That should take another week or 2 weeks, and then all of that information goes to South Water Management District, just as an oversight to get their input. They don't slow the project down, but they need to know exactly when there's a disturbance of the soil of that great depth that we have to provide them a report. Same report that they provided to the Belgrade Field Turf project, but it only took maybe 24 or 72 hours for them to kind of brief over it. So once that's done, they'll give us a definitive timeline when they can get started on giving us a professional field turf football field for our Parks and Recreational facility. That project itself probably will take at least 3 months. That does not include an RFP for seating and fencing around the facility as well. So just keep that in mind. The seating is not a part of the field turf. That's a separate RFP that we'll be releasing probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So is the fencing as well. Legislative agenda is set for 2018-2019 session. We have several objectives that we're looking to go after this year. One major one for me is MLK Park improvements. That's been on the legislative priority list for the last 2 years, and it hasn't received any funding, so it's back again this year, and we're going to push very hard for some additional funding for MLK Park. We were very successful with Commissioner's Park, and so we're going to push MLK Park as hard as we can in Tallahassee this year, as well as some additional stormwater improvements on 1st Street, Barack Obama Boulevard. When it rains very hard in front of the bank, the flooding, gets difficult to drive through that area. I think it's Sonona Place and 1st Street. Pahokee Marina is always on the priority list to get additional funding, so we'll be going after additional $1 million there. I'm sorry, let me back up. Water improvement for 1st Street is $660,000 request. Pahokee Emergency and Community Center, again, that's the recreational gym. I don't think many people remember, but the gymnasium at one time, this facility where we're at, was utilized as the emergency operating center for the city of Pahokee during hurricanes or emergency natural disasters. And we moved away from that, one, because the facility just wasn't adequate enough to have operations of that sort. The old fire station was much easier to operate out of. It was a hardened building. It had two stories, 2 levels to it, so if there was ever any flooding in that area, we could still operate. And it also had a generator at that time, and it still has a generator connected to it. Now this facility, this campus has a generator, but there's a lot about the gymnasium, 2nd level, the offices, the classrooms, that needs to be renovated, as the 1st section will be renovated by the county. It's a priority for us. Last year, there was a push across the state legislatively for emergency operating centers connected to natural disasters. However, what happened with the high school in Broward County shifted a lot of the conversations of funding to school safety. So a lot of these projects that were on that list to possibly get funded in the 2018 session was not funded because they shifted a lot of those funds to high schools for safety, middle schools, elementary schools. So that's back as a priority this year. The demolition of the old city hall, I just put that on there because it's not a state legislative project. It's already been funded by Solid Waste Authority at $365,000. We anticipate we'll get that grant money here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. When that funds arrive, we then will put an RP out for that demolition as well. Barfield Highway, I know there's been a lot of discussions about Barfield Highway. Barfield Highway is a funded project. The city of Pahokee did not receive $4.5 million. That money is held with the state until all of the prerequisites are completed, and then we begin to draw down that money as that project commences. So I just wanted to clear that up. We don't have $4.5 million sitting in the bank. It sits in Tallahassee with FDOT until they're ready to release it, in stages as the project comes online in stages. This is a massive project, and I've said that before. And because it's such a massive project, and because they're reconstructing the entire highway, it's not just something that they write down on paper and say, okay, let's put a shovel in the ground. You have lots of engineers surveying, continuous surveys occurring, soil samples, South Florida Water Management District. Palm Beach County is involved with a couple of projects they'll be adding to this project. It is a very massive project. And so until all of those things are figured out and they will assign a vendor to the entire project, Barfield Highway renovations will not start. But it is progressively being planned and organized to start. Actually, on tomorrow, we have a meeting in District 4 for FDOT in Fort Lauderdale. Some of the staff will be going down there to get some more clarity on what's going on and where we are with the project itself. And I'll report back after that meeting, after they attend that meeting. But this is a massive project, so please be patient with us. The funding's been out there for 2 years, but it takes time for this type of project to come online. Any project takes time. If you look at any interstate project, highway project of this size, the funding was probably awarded 2 to 3 years before that. And so when an FDOT project comes online, they've been planning it for years. And that's typically how it works. Unless it's one of those short, intermediate projects that's resurfacing. And we've done a lot of resurfacing, Mayor, Commission, over the last 2 years in the city of Pahokee. Take Glade Citizensville, for instance. They did that project in 4 months. But it wasn't a complete reconstructed street project. They resurfaced, meaning they took asphalt and covered the old asphalt and did stormwater. And that project took less than 4 months. They removed some of the asphalt in very damaged areas. But this project, they're removing all of the asphalt from South Lake 7th Street all the way to East Main. That is almost a mile, almost close to it. That is a massive project for this city. So it will take a while, but we will get the project online as we move forward here. If there are any changes in the project, we will let the commission and the city know. Lastly, I wanted to address back to streets. There was a street that was closed off over the weekend for stormwater issues. I think there was a pipe burst or something of that nature. And we don't control when the county comes out and closes a street to do repairs. That's their responsibility. I got a phone call. I had an opportunity to get the number because there was none left. And I couldn't go back and record it because it wouldn't give me the number. But the young lady that called was visibly upset, or verbally upset, because she thought we had closed the street. And really, it was a weekend project by Palm Beach County, and it was an emergency repair. And they had the streets closed off for quite some time. So when streets close like that, it's not the county. It's not the city, it's the county that's doing the work, or the state that's doing some type of emergency repair. And so I just wanted to clear that up because I didn't know who the young lady was because she didn't leave a number. But when those type of repairs are occurring, it's not the city closing the streets, it's always the county with streets and stormwater. So I just wanted to clear that up. I didn't know who the young lady was, and if she's watching tonight, we apologize for the delay and closure of the street, but that was a county emergency project that happened during the day and in the evening. So it happens like that you can't get to one part of town because they're working on that particular part of the street or boulevard, etc. Speaking of boulevard, we got the Mel Tillis sample ready to go. It's in production now, and hopefully sometime here in February we'll have a little small ceremony to get Mel Tillis sign installed on East Main Street. And we want to do two. We're going to do one first. We want to do two because it's such a long street. So we're going to do two. But we got the first one in production now. Finally, I made some changes to the face of the sign itself. I wanted the face to be a little larger. So that was my delay. But it's now going to production. So hopefully we'll have that wrapped up here pretty soon, and we'll pick a date for a nice little ceremony out here on East Main Street.
In a surviving family?
Not sure. One of our residents did reach out to some of the family members, and they responded, and so we'll let them know when that ceremony is selected, and I'm sure there'll be some family members involved in that on that day in that ceremony.
One of their requests was that they could have a couple of dates. so that they could work their scheduling around it when you think you might know some of those days, that would be helpful.
Mayor, I have a concern that I want to address with the city commission to see if we can entertain moving forward with regards to trucks and trucks not following the truck route. I think that's something that, I mean, it's an elephant in the room that some of us want to avoid, but we definitely need to contact law enforcement because they're not following truck routes. And there's been some instances where it was a good thing that cars weren't parked alongside the road because they would have knocked those cars out. And with the recent events that took place on State Road 80, just last night, you know, those trucks need to follow the route. Also, I do have that concern, and I know we had conversations and individuals came to the commission meeting with regards to parking trucks and all that in neighborhoods. You know, we really need to, you know, have a conversation. And if that requires a public meeting to come to a happy medium with regards to that, because we either going to be fixing streets, I know that's the county's responsibility. You know, either we want infrastructure that's of quality and keeping the repairs down to a minimum, or we just going to have a free fall and let people do what they want to do. So I think we need to have a public meeting or something once we get close to drafting what our expectations are as a city, so that we can get the, you know, involvement or opinions from those persons that may be affected by it. Because I think it's a lot of nuances. When you start talking about how well maintained those trucks are, oil and the leakage and all that gets in the ground, and so I think we need to address that some kind of way.
Commissioner,
Mr. Mayor, what we need to do is set a protocol that if they need to speak, their comment cards, and they more than happy to hear from them, but they need to fill out a card.
Commissioner Everett, you're correct. We do have a truck route. I don't know how much Florida Highway Patrol monitors that here in Pahokee, and I don't know the protocols with PVSO, but I think it's more of a, Gary, correct me, isn't it Highway Patrol's responsibility more than the county PVSO's responsibility for truck route?
It's typically been the sheriff's office that has enforced the truck route issue. I think not too long ago, the commission told the sheriff's office that they really wanted stepped up enforcement on that. And perhaps what we can do is send a letter out to
Can
maybe
I add?
assist that.
I've seen twice with
Yeah,
shit.
you don't need a letter. We've been going through this for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
We're enforcing it. I send the weekly updates when I've had the directed patrols out here with our commercial vehicles. It's throughout all the glades, the Tri-Cities. Every time we designate manpower there, then it's being addressed.
I've seen it several times.
Yeah,
being
you've seen us
addressed. I've seen
enforcing it up here. A couple issues that we run into, if they're doing business within the city, they're allowed to do that. The truck route has to be properly identified. We have to see them enter from point A of where they saw the sign that the truck route directs them around the city. If we do not witness that, and then we catch them in the city, all they have to say is, I'm coming over here to the cafe and having lunch, or I'm doing business within the city. So there's several things that there's obstacles, but I assure you, we're enforcing it, and I do send to the stakeholders of the glades our enforcement efforts, and when we do this, and it's on our radar. I could give you numbers and how many traffic stops we've done and everything else. It's throughout. The city of Belglade is the same, South Bay is the same, all around the lake. It's a heavy problem. the big problem for all concerned.
I'm just wondering, could we get some more signage? I'm not saying that's an excuse, but we want to make sure it's clearly visible.
Once they miss that one, that's it, they're committed.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
you know,
the signs are up. I mean, I've driven to Canal Point. I've did over at the track store. I've seen them. They're there, and those are state signs, of course. You have to
Yeah.
contact FDOT to install more of them. But all those signs are there. It's just if they ignore them,
What about,
they ignore them.
what about underneath? And I'm not sure what's the language on there, but it will be strictly enforced by law enforcement. I don't
mean,
know,
you can make that
impunity will
request at the
apply.
state.
I'm just trying to get
Ask
something
that.
that when they look at that sign, they gonna
I mean,
make
I think
a
the
U-turn or
penalty-
some kind of way, not go
If
through.
I'm not
it.
correct, the penalty is posted. Like it's like what, $200 or something.
They
It's
know,
it's
and we
posted.
are
okay.
citing them. They,
Yeah,
yeah,
they
they
know.
know.
Yeah, I don't know if that changes their behavior or their practice, but they know. The second, and I know we got to get into regular session, but the second question that Commissioner Everett was addressing is the parking of the vehicles in the city limits. As he indicated, we did have an ordinance that we were talking about last fall between October and November, actually August, September, then we tabled it. Folks did come in and express their either support, non-support of that ordinance. What we can do is, Commissioner Everett, Mayor, Commission, we can go back and have the city attorney look at that ordinance again, bring it back to this commission, and also allow those folks to come in and again, either voice their support or non-support of that type of ordinance once we begin that discussion. So.
Yeah, and back to the, to the truck route, my observation, and I don't want Lieutenant Piccolo to think that it was an indictment on any law enforcement agency.
Correct.
Be it PBSO or state trooper. I've just seen it, and I've seen it, one or two many times, and I just wanted to bring it back up.
Yeah,
Just in the
absolutely.
event, so that we can keep our eyes open for that. And also with regards to the trucks within the city, limits. Yes, we do have individuals in our communities that's how they make their living, but we also have individuals in our communities that make their living other ways, and some of them have come to me expressing concerns about trucks being parked in their neighborhoods and blocking them and different things of that nature. I was inconvenienced. On the flip side, my father owned trucks, so I'm not against trucking or individuals that make their living that way. But just like you can't go to Royal Palm, Wellington, or any other community that's progressive and that's moving forward and do whatever you want to do, we need to create a culture and a climate within the city of Pahokee to say that there's a certain level, a standard of living that we expect. And it's not a strike against truckers, but even with having a truck, there are rules of engagement, and that's the only thing that I'm saying about it. I'm saying if we can come to a happy medium. I don't think the solving the issue is tabling the ordinance and keeping it tabled. Is having some dialogue and conversations and seeing if we can come to a happy medium.
Commissioner, would you like that scheduled for a specific workshop time so that it doesn't slide by? The problem we had last time was reaching that happy medium.
Yes, yes.
A lot of people didn't like the happy medium that I suggested, so you heard from both sides, and we never got down to
What I
that
would
point.
like to do is really put it out there, advertise it, and like you go with your suggestion with possibly with having a workshop dedicated to that and for discussion.
Okay.
But definitely having it advertised so those persons who are for or against can state whatever concerns that they have and, try to come up with a happy medium or the happiest that it can be. Because I've had a person, in the meeting right now that, in one particular area, they got a truck lot, and got a call from one person that wanted me to come out to their neighborhood because they were being inconvenienced. They don't even live out there, but they're parking their vehicles out there, which should be a no-no. So I think it's something that's worth us dedicating a workshop to and hearing from the public as well.
So at
Commissioner, would you like that workshop scheduled at 6 o'clock before one of your regular meetings? And just advertise it for a couple weeks? Maybe advertise the ordinance I had done before to get everyone in?
That'd be good.
And maybe set it, do you want to set it for your next commission meeting or the one after?
Well, that's the pleasure of, rest of my colleagues if they, see it's a need. You think 2 weeks' time would be good enough?
Well, you're going to have to advertise it for maybe 10 days, so I think maybe the meeting after that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I would adjourn the workshop, and we'll immediately go into our regular city commission meeting. If there are no objections. Thank you. City Attorney, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
City Clerk, are you ready? City Manager, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker, Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin.
Yes.
Sergeant, I call this meeting of the City Commission of January 22nd, 2019, regular commission meeting to order at 6:41 p.m. May we please stand for the invocation given by Deacon Bobby Colvin, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Again, Father, we thank you for your presence in this meeting with us. We thank you for our city. We ask you to give our leaders wisdom, Lord, as they make decisions. Guide us in this meeting when we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bab,
Present.
Commissioner Everett,
Here.
Commissioner Hill,
Present?
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
City Manager,
Here.
City Attorney,
Here.
Lieutenant Piccolo,
Here.
Interim City Clerk here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, staff, and thank each of you all for being here tonight to participate in our regular commission meeting of January 22nd, 2019. Like to acknowledge County Commissioner Melissa McKinley, aide Lisa Wilson. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being in attendance. Just a quick housekeeping rule. We're gonna try to set a goal, and it's a goal, nothing etched in stone, that we limit our meeting to no more than 2 hours if possible. We're just gonna keep that in mind as we deliberate and take care of our city business. Certainly, we're not gonna skim over any city business, but if we're all cautious of time, I think we can move forward in our agenda a lot quicker than we normally sometimes do. Tonight is a short agenda, so it shouldn't take us more than 2 hours to take care of business. I also would like to remind the audience, if you can, please limit or reduce or even eliminate your talking while the commission is deliberating. If you do have a comment, please make sure you have a comment card. We have 2 sections in our agenda where citizen is able to comment. Really 3. One is the public service announcement, if you have any. The other one is item pertaining to the agenda, and the other one is regular concerns of the citizen. So you have 3 opportunities. If we can eliminate the side talking, I think we can move forward quickly. And I also would like to remind even my colleagues, side talking, if the citizen is not able to hear the conversation, it basically could be construed as a violation. So let's eliminate that unless it's totally necessary to talk among ourselves, and make sure when we do talk, we are talking into the mic and everyone is able to hear the conversation that is transpiring. So if we can do that, I think we can have a quicker, smoother, and more efficient meeting. So we're gonna move right along to our agenda. First order of business is the addition, deletion, and approval of the agenda item. City manager, this time, do we have in addition to the agenda items?
Yes, Mayor. Proclamation, ratification of proclamation proclaiming January 20th, 2019 as Belgrade Pahokee Alumni Chapter Kappa Psi Fraternity Day. Mr. Everett, I think Mr. Everett should probably lead that conversation.
Okay.
Presentations, we have 3 businesses of the month. Typically, we have 2, but Commissioner Walker felt it necessary and that we should recognize 3, and that's appropriate. We have no problem with that, and those are 3 additions, businesses of the month. I'll wait for you to name those businesses during the presentation hour, Mayor.
Okay.
That's
Also,
approval. That's, you have a page of approval.
No, ma'am, but we're fine. We have all 3 certificates ready.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Yeah, no additional approvals needed. We added it. It's not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I would also like to add a proclamation for the Pastor Reverend James White 20th pastoral anniversary. We have the language now for the proclamation, and we'll get that over to the clerk so we can actually, if it's no problem, we can formally authorize that being presented.
At the next commission meeting?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yes, sir. That's it for additions, deletions, Mayor, from the city.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna actually approve.
Ask it out loud. Question, city manager, and maybe this, I don't know if it needs to be an addition to the agenda. You all can help me if you, I know we had a conversation last meeting with regards to kind of getting rid of killing the trees and the paper, seeing if we can move to take devices.
I'm working on that.
Okay.
I'm waiting on some quotes.
All right.
I should have it worked out by the end of the week.
You looked at Apple?
It's one of the vendors. Yes, sir. You can highly consider it.
I'll make a move.
What about a depreciated value if you wanted to buy it? Is that something that's being worked in the?
That's beyond my approval level. That have to come from the body as a whole. Yeah. But I should have some more quotes back by the end of the week. I was looking at 3 different vendors. So once I get the final quote, then I'll move forward.
All right.
Yes, sir.
From the city commission, are there any additional additions or deletions from the agenda? Hearing none, I entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda as revised.
Mayor, I'd like to approve the agenda of addition, deletion with the add-ons, the ratification of the proclamation proclaimed January 20, 2019 as Belgrade Pahokee Alumni Chapter Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Day. Also, the proclamation for the Reverend James White.
Okay.
Second.
It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly seconded by Commissioner Everett that we accept the agenda as presented with the additions that has been stated. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin.
Yes.
Commissioner Everett.
Yes.
Commissioner Hill.
Yes.
Commissioner Walker.
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The agenda item with the additions passes by unanimous vote. Now we'll move to citizen comments. You must have a comment card completed. City Clerk, at this time, do we have any comments card completed?
No, sir, not regarding agenda items.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we'll move to citizen public service announcement. City Clerk, at this time, do we have any public service comment card completed?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we'll move to the approval of our minutes. I'm not sure if we're going to take them individually, or you suggest we do them all at one time. The agenda, the minutes for the October 23rd, 2018, the October regular commission meeting, the October 26th, 2018, commissioner retreat meetings, the October 29th, 2018, workshop town hall minutes, November 13, 2018, workshop minutes, 2013, November regular scheduled commission meeting, November 28th, 2018, workshop minutes, November 27, 2018, regular scheduled commission meeting, December 11, 2018, workshop minutes, December 11, 2018, regular scheduled commission meeting. What's your pleasure, City Commissioner?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to offer a motion that we accept that we approve the minutes for the series of meetings and workshops, and if there are any necessary corrections to follow.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly seconded by Vice Mayor Mervin that we approve the various minutes of the workshops and various regular commission meeting as stated. Call for questions. Hearing none. Are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The minutes of the various meeting has been approved by unanimous vote. We have no consent agenda items. We have no ordinance. We have a resolution, Resolution 2019-05. City Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, approving Budget Amendment Number 2 in the amount of $635,000 to the 2018-2019 fiscal year budget. This is an addition to your budget to reflect the $635,000 account for Glade Citizen Villa grant, which was inadvertently left out of the budget that you adopted, as I understand it.
City Commission, you get an opportunity to ask any questions. We'll entertain a motion for the adoption of this resolution, 2018-05.
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I would like to offer a motion that we accept Resolution 2019-05 as it has been read by City Attorney.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly seconded by Vice Mayor Mervin that we adopt Resolution 2019-05. Call for questions.
Question.
Commissioner Walker.
How did this occur? Why? Why did this occur?
What was the reason for the resolution and why did it occur?
This is the funding we got from the state for Glade Citizen Villa project, which is now complete. When we get funds that are added to an approved budget and it has to be amended, added to the budget, and it was forgotten about last fall when the funds came in. And so we're going back and just ratifying what we received from the state to ensure it's on our books for our auditor. Things like that happen, and he comes in and he looks at a high dollar project like $635,000, and there's no resolution approving it being added to the budget. We have to go back and make a budget amendment. So that's why we're making this.
It was an oversight.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
In additional question from the commission? Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2019-05 passes by a unanimous vote. We have no public hearings. Proclamations. We have a ratification of a proclamation for Deacon Brown. Jake Brown. City Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, I believe this is a ratification of a proclamation that's already been presented, and it reads, whereas Deacon Brown was born on August 25th, 1930, in Esmont, Virginia, to the late William Henry Brown and Beatrice Carey Brown. He is known to others as Jake Brown, and whereas Deacon Brown was married to Mildred Walker Brooks Brown, had 4 children and 3 stepchildren, and whereas Deacon Brown accepted Christ at an early age and joined New Hope Baptist Church, where his grandfather was one of the founders and former pastors, and whereas in approximately 1969, Deacon Brown joined Union Baptist Church in Scottsville, Virginia, and served in many capacities. And whereas after 42 years of service, Deacon Brown retired as a bus driver in Albemarle County. Additionally, he retired from a long service business and handyman jobs. And whereas on January 4th, 2019, the Lord called Deacon Brown home, he leaves to cherish his memories, his beloved family and friends. Now therefore the City Commission of the City of Pahokee does hereby extend a heartfelt condolence to the family and friends of Deacon Brown in their time of bereavement. Signed by all the members of the commission and the mayor.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Commissioner, can we have an approval of the ratification of this proclamation?
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I'd like to offer a motion that we accept ratification of proclamation for Deacon Brown.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Vice Mayor Mervin for the ratification of the proclamation for Deacon Jake Brown. Call for questions. Hearing none. Are you ready?
And this might just satisfy my curiosity. Was somebody related to our city employee or something?
Actually, that came from the Vice Mayor as a suggestion. It was my mother's brother.
Oh, okay.
Our
Yeah.
oldest brother,
Okay.
88 years old.
I wasn't certain. Okay,
Right.
yeah, gotcha. All right.
And it's, you have a question?
No, that
Okay.
was in the meeting last.
Right.
month.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
In addition to questions, hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes,
Commissioner Walker,
yes,
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The ratification of the proclamation from Deacon Brown has been passed by unanimous vote. Now we have the ratification of the proclamation for the Belgrade Pahokee Alumni Chapter Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity. I don't know if Commissioner Everett wants us to read that out, but we will read Lisa Tyler, City Attorney. He's probably tired of hearing about Kappa Alpha Psi right now.
Mayor, this is a proclamation proclaiming January 20th, 2019 as Belgrade Pahokee Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Inc. Day. Whereas on January 5th, 1911, on the campus of Indiana University, 10 young black God-fearing men were faced with the challenge of fitting into a social life that did not include them. And whereas those 10 young men included the most noble brothers, Elder Watson Diggs, Dr. Byron K. Armstrong, Dr. Isra D. Alexander, Paul Kane, John Milton Lee, Edward G. Irvin, Dr. Guy L. Grant, Dr. Marcus P. Blakemore, Attorney Henry T. Asher, and George Edmonds. And whereas rather than be conformed, they chose their own path by visualizing, improvising, and organizing one of the most influential organizations in the United States of America, the Noble Brotherhood of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity, Inc. And whereas in 1982, 11 young black God-fearing men from various educational institutions throughout the country decided that the Brotherhood experience from their individual chapters needed to be combined into one chapter of solidarity. Therefore, they visualized, organized, and chartered the Belgrade Pahokee Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity, Inc. And whereas the daring young men included Eddie Rhodes, Keith Babbs, Jerome Govin, Michael Joseph, Charles Laws, Robert Hart, Johnny Webb, Jake Rose, Horace Dozier, Lomi DeVos, Chapter Invisible, and Jerry Ford, Chapter Invisible. And whereas the Belgrade Pahokee Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Phi Fraternity, Inc. will be celebrating its annual Founders Day in the city of Pahokee on January 20th, 2019 at 11 a.m. at Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church. Now therefore, on behalf of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, the mayor, by virtue of the authority vested in the mayor, does hereby proclaim January 20th, 2019 as Belgrade Pahokee Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity, Inc. Day in the City of Pahokee, signed by all the commissioners and the mayor.
Thank you, City Attorney, City Commissioners. What's your pleasure on the ratification of the proclamation for the Belgrade Pahokee Alumni Chapter Kappa Alpha Psi?
I'll make a motion to accept the ratification of the proclamation.
That silent don't sound good.
Normally, Pete.
All right, we got a motion
Second.
and a second. Thank you. It has been motioned by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly seconded by Commissioner Hill for the ratification of the proclamation for Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity. Call for questions. Hearing none. Are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin?
Yes.
Commissioner Hill?
Yes.
Commissioner Everett?
Yeah.
Commissioner Walker?
Yes.
Mayor Bab?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank
Mayor-
you.
Mayor, I normally don't say much when we do proclamations, but I think that was a fine proclamation that we presented here in the city of Pahokee. And it certainly speaks to the achievement of that organization here in the Glades.
Are we supposed to limit these meetings?
Yes. Yeah. So, I'm a part of that organization. I'm proud to say that, this organization is
gavel,
well
man.
represented here in the city of Pahokee and the Glades. And
Thank
all
you.
those other groups out there that want to, they need to get this.
Thank you. We did it, roll call? We did a roll call. Proclamation, ratification, passed by unanimous vote. I will include, though, they have been very, very helpful. They always at our signature event. Now, I'm gonna give the Omegas some credit. With Commissioner Everett as the brother of the Omegas, I think they're gonna really start challenging the Kappas as far as doing things in this community. They outnumbered us at the Martin Luther King parade, so we're gonna move forward. Okay, we have one other proclamation. It hasn't been presented, but we want approval of the proclamation for the pastor, Reverend James White 20th pastoral anniversary.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve the proclamation for the Reverend James White.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Vice Mayor Mervin and properly seconded by Commissioner Hill for the approval of a proclamation for the Reverend Pastor James White 20th anniversary. Call for questions. Hearing none. Are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin?
Yes.
Commissioner Hill?
Yes.
Commissioner Everett?
Yes.
Commissioner Walker?
Yes.
Mayor Bab?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The proclamation for James White passes by unanimous vote. And I would just like to say this. I know it's not going to be a major expense, but for proclamations in the future, if we could maybe increase our certificates so they'll be a little more, the frames a little more sturdier. It would just help in some cases. Thank you. Okay, now we'll move to, wow, we moving fast. The mayor's report.
Presentation.
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 Yeah.
Business is up.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how I skipped that. All right. Why is that? Okay, we
It's on the
can
agenda.
add
There was an addition
the
there.
three business of the month. We'll allow at this time Commissioner Walker, who selected the three business for this month, to kind of give a little brief overview of the business she selected. Then we will go down and actually present each of the certificate to the winners.
My voice not working.
Okay.
But I like to.
You say just whatever few words you can.
I like to recognize them, and they are excited and delighted to be recognized. They said they have never been recognized by anybody in the city. So I'm glad to know that I'm the first to recognize them as citizens of Pahokee.
Yeah, we're gonna actually share the name of them, and then we'll go down and present them.
Okay. Carmen's Cafe, and Rockville Mexican store, and then the Mr. Irvin Tire and Wheel. Okay. Thank you all for recognizing them.
We can
And-
still kind of read this certificate if you like. City Commission, at this time, would you all join me in the front of the podium so we can present those certificates of the winners who's here?
Miss, yeah. Can tell Miss Clark in the attorney,
Ms. Clark and the attorney.
yes, ask them what they do. Cause they're going last, they're not.
Coming down.
Their last meeting with me.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Now, you got February and
No,
one.
but they're not, the other one recognize them. I would like to, if she will, Ms. Clark and the attorney and, in the picture with me. Ms. Clark too.
We're gonna call the individual businesses. We're gonna call the individual businesses one at a time, those that hear. But on behalf of the Pahokee City Commission, Vice Mayor Clara Mervin, Commissioner Diane Walker, Commissioner Benny Everett III, Commissioner Felicia Hill, Commissioner our City Manager Chandler Williamson, and our entire city staff, it is indeed a pleasure and honor to present you all with the businesses of the month. We try to promote our local business. We encourage all our citizens to promote and cater to our local businesses. That's the only way our businesses can survive. And when other businesses are looking to relocate to Pahokee, one of the indications is how successful the current local businesses are in the community. And the only way that's gonna occur if we all support them as they provide services to our community. So I'm gonna have, and we'll just rotate from our right to our left, each of the commissioners will read the certificate and ask the winner to come up if they're here.
This one is given to the Irvin's Tire and Wheels, Business of the Month. This certificate is awarded to Irvin's Tire and Wheels, 565 East Main Street, Pahokee, Florida, 33476. in recognition of outstanding service to the community presented this 22nd day of January 2019. Mayor Keith W. Babb Jr., Vice Mayor Clara Mervin, Commissioner Billy L. Everett III, Commissioner Felicia C. Hill, Commissioner Diane L. Walker, and City Manager Chandler F. Williamson.
Business of the month, this certificate is awarded to San Rafael Mexican Store, 766 Larimore Road, Pahokee, Florida, 33476. You come on, you come on. And this store is catty corners from the Pure gas station, is that correct? Correct. All right. Was an old bank. Yes. And this is in recognition of your outstanding service to the community, and it's presented this 22nd day of January 2019. You heard the names of these distinguished people up here, and I don't want to delay time by reading all of them. Here you go.
If you all would or like to say just a few words about your business, where you're located at, and anything about it if you like. Spanish? You can do it in Spanish. Somebody got interpreter? Interpreter? Thank you. Could you interpret what he say to the community? Thank you.
Te digo, Lolita. Bueno, yo quiero mucho Pahokee. Quiero agradecerle al pueblo al pueblo de Pahokee todo lo que hemos trabajado para seguir adelante.
He wants to appreciate everything, whatever he tried to do for Pahokee.
Y a Pahokee yo lo quiero muchísimo, pero vivo aquí.
He loves Pahokee a lot.
Para mí toda la gente es buena, americanos, morenos y todos somos buenos, hispanos, todos somos buenos.
He loves everybody, no matter color or whatever, little ones or big ones.
Y pido a Dios por este gran país, por sus gobernantes y por todos los Estados Unidos.
He prayed a lot for the whole America, and he loves everybody, no matter what.
Y deseo lo mejor para todo el país.
He loves, and he wishes everything good for the whole America.
Okay, our last final certificate, I think Carmen, you can come back up. It's for Carmen's Cafe. This certificate is awarded to Carmen's Cafe, 585 East Main Street, Pahokee, Florida, in recognition of your outstanding service to the community, presented on this 22nd day of January 2019. And I will, I don't think it's necessary to read off all the commissioners and the staff, but we want to thank you here at the City of Pahokee.
Is it a restaurant?
That's okay.
I said when, what time?
Every day.
I try to speak English a little bit, okay? I'm sorry, my English is not very well. But my sister and me, we working every day hard, like maybe like you know? And we have a long time working in cooking. my sister, she was to remember how I started in Pahokee, maybe 20 years, maybe 80 years, because we started in gasoline station, new gasoline. Well, no new is like, it's, I think it's American. It's American, the owner. You know, we started in a little car, and sometimes my sister, she say, we have to change the job. I say, and where? In the field? When vegetables company, is thinking it's hard. Working is hard every day, you know? And we try keeping in this place because my family help us. See, they try to help. My family is, yeah, grown, you know? And my husband too gives us some support. But we cooking every day with love, because everything that we do with love is good, is good.
Yes.
And City Pahokee is very important for the city, everyone, not just him, every member, you know, because together we can make a change, big change, okay? Police station, fire station, schools, we try to see everyone the same, with love. We don't, we like it, my sister and me, don't make it complaints, go nobody. And I appreciate it, and call to my sister and me and receive this certificate. But this certificate is special for my God, because my God every day gives the support, every day, because it's not easy. We never take it off. It's not for making money, it's for the people wait for the tacos and for the lunch, the people working in the field. And sometimes in the Christmas, I say, it's Christmas, we don't get nothing. Well, Christmas is close, it's maybe Christmas. Well, and some companies working in Christmas too, like Juice Sugar and Osceola, and some people working. Some people take it off, you know, depend to it's in the inside or outside in the field. And the people say, don't close in New Year. I say, why I have to take it one day off? I say, no, because I need to make tacos. And it's not for work, you know, I told you, if you don't work in sometimes not for money, it's, you know, for the people, for serve to the people, you know. And like say Sean, my brother, and we don't see like competence, we see Sean and family like family. They working the same, like you, you know. Everyone looking, you know, living every day, you know. And like say John, we love Pahokee. Some people say Pahokee, nobody does Pahokee, with nobody. God is in Pahokee, right. And you know what is Pahokee. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you.
Oh my God.
And they cater. Really? Yeah. They came to my job.
I don't cook. Home back, no groceries, but water. And toilet.
Thank you all for commission for recognizing them.
Thank you. And congratulations again to the 3 businesses of the month. Just for reference, our selection goes from right to left. Commissioner Walker selected business for this month. I'll be selecting the business for next month. Commissioner Hill, and back to Vice Mayor and so on. So that's the process that we do. Now we are move to the mayor's report. The city commission and staff have been in early discussion with a private investors that's looking to build a manufacturing plant. It's early stages. We don't have a whole lot of information we need to share at this time because it's in the early stages. But this particular venture could possibly produce 100 plus job. Is a 24-hour plant that they're looking at within the city of Pahokee. And I'd also like to just thank Regina Bowles from the chamber who first brought this group to the city attention. So we're prayerful that this venture will eventually be successful. We're hoping that will create some jobs for our local residents. And the jobs are paying, I think the beginning salary is like $18 plus, so it's a good paying job. Thank you. The Martin Luther King Day annual parade was extravaganza was a huge success. We had a great turnout, one of our largest turnout. We had some entertainment that was great. We just thank city staff, all the sponsors, the Palm Beach County Sheriff Department, including their PAL program, Palm Beach County Fire Rescue, all the various community organizations, and the community for just coming out and celebrating that day with the city and the citizen of Pahokee. On that note, I would like to say that Martin Luther King, and I know we're all aware, but it's not a black holiday. It's a holiday for all peoples. He fought and died for everyone's freedom. Of course, during that time, there was a lot of discrimination and unequal services on behalf of blacks. So, but it wasn't just for blacks. If you look at Martin Luther King history, he brought all peoples together. And the reason I'm saying this, and I can't control what goes on in social media. Everyone has the right to speak and have freedom of speech. But because we're on live streaming, I would just like to say this. Some of the comments on Facebook is really hurting us as far as bringing in businesses and moving this community closer together. People look at us and view us as a divided city. And it may not be everybody. I'm quite sure it's not. Just a few. But it's sending a picture that this community is divided as ever. And we're too small for that. I just hope we find some common ground and just work together as peoples to move our city forward. But it's bad. And peoples that don't even speak really good English is picking up on it. And I done heard comments and people that have told me and shared some things with me and saying that your community is so divided. And only a few people is so, even if you can talk to individual privately, maybe you can encourage them that it's hurting the community as a whole. And I don't know what I can do as mayor. I have some concern from one or two people that there's some red flags going up. And if you ever saw a mass shooting at any point, one of the things that people always say afterwards, there should have been something on Facebook or some type of something that would have triggered us to contact law enforcement, have it checked out, have it investigated so it wouldn't happen. You can't stop everything, but I'm concerned sometimes just by comments that's being said and posted on social media. So I'm going to continue to pray, and I know we got some praying people in our community. We're going to have to find a way that we can bridge this division and bring everybody, together as one. The vice mayor and myself attended a presentation at Lakeshore Middle School by the United States Attorney's Office. They did a presentation to the students there and their faculty. So that was one of the events that we attended. I also attended the grand opening. I attended the grand opening for the South Florida Fair and its VIP luncheon. Also, the vice mayor and myself participated in Pastor James White 20th pastoral anniversary. The vice mayor, Commissioner Everett, city manager, and myself participated in the Pahokee Alumni Chapter Kappa Alpha Psi Founder Day program. In addition to that, the vice mayor and I participated in the awarding of 2 scholarships to 2 deserving high school students that reside in Pahokee. Both attend Glaze Day High School. And lastly, all of our commissioners participated in the Martin Luther King Day celebration. So again, I would like to thank staff, thank our commissioners for being active in the community and representing Pahokee well. Thank you. And at this time, we'll move to our city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, Commission, citizen, thanks for coming out tonight. Brief report. First, I want to take an opportunity to thank the staff that worked on the MLK parade and extravaganza. It's always a very heavy lift for us on that event, and a lot went into that event this year to promote the recognition and the remembering of Dr. Martin Luther King and his efforts here in America. So I just want to thank the staff. They worked very hard that day. Those who came out, and they always are there when I need them. So they're not here. I'm sure they're watching at home. Thank you very much to all the staff, specifically Public Works and Department of Community Economic Development. They did an outstanding job of planning this event. And it's only going to get better, Mayor. This is our 2nd year bringing the parade and extravaganza back to the city of Pahokee, but we always learn something that we can do different for next year. So we want to make it bigger and better next year. So thank everyone for coming out. The community always can use your support on that. We had a couple of funders. There was a question, I think, I'm getting in the habit of reading some of that stuff on Facebook in my spare time. But someone wanted to know how it was funded. Well, most of it was sponsored, Waste Management, Florida Crystals, of course, our insurance carrier, PRIA. They provided the funding for that event. We always try to offset our events by getting sponsors. And if you ever go to any event, you notice they have sponsors. Most likely they are offsetting those costs where it's not coming out of our pockets and our tax dollars. It's being sponsored by some of our partners in the community. And so I just want to make that very clear that most of our events, if not all, are sponsored by some of our partners in the community here that provide us services. So I just want to clarify that. Beyond that, Mayor, that's the end of my report tonight.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll move to the city attorney's report.
Mr. Mayor, the first item is the Techno Marine lawsuit. I've scheduled a hearing for next Thursday at 2:30 to request the court to enter a final judgment in favor of the city in that case. And I'll report back at your next meeting and give you a copy of that if we're successful. In the case of Pahokee versus Perez, the time has gone by for Okeechobee Land Company to provide their tax returns as requested. So I'll be filing a motion with the court to compel them to give us those tax returns, and in the event they don't, to hold them in contempt of court. Those are the 2 reports I have on the litigation that's continuing. On the, would you like me to go into the marina update?
Yes, sir. That'll be fine.
Okay, I requested the Division of State Lands to move forward with the agenda item that will go to the Board of Trustees of the Internal Improvement Trust Fund, which is the new governor and cabinet. And they are, I understand, preparing that report. However, they're not going to present it until they hear from FDEP that the final repairs are made on the sewer line that connects the Marina sewage system to the county's sewer system. We understand that final approval will be forthcoming very quickly.
So had that been done and completed thoroughly and has been inspected and stamped on and?
Hasn't
ready
been
to go?
inspected yet. They may not require an inspection.
Okay.
Mr. Chandler has provided them with photographs of the progress, and I believe they asked Mr. Chandler for the invoices from the company that did the work. I think that occurred this afternoon, so we're right up to date on that. I'm sure Mr. Williamson will send those out if he hasn't already.
It's already been sent. It was sent earlier this morning, so we're just waiting for their final response. But we feel very confident that we mitigated all of the issues with the sewer, the leaking of the sewer line that it's been broken for quite some time. So we're just waiting on final approval. We sent the invoice earlier. I haven't heard anything back. They may come out and do an inspection, as the city attorney indicated. They probably most likely will not come out based on all the pictures that were taken and the invoice that was sent from the vendor this morning.
So we're more than likely looking to that to be heard in February during their meeting?
Don't know if the state made the deadline for the February meeting or not. And I've not seen a draft of their report to the cabinet, so I can't comment on that until I hear from Cheryl McCall that she's moving it forward and sends me a draft of it. I would like to tell you, though, that, you know, it's been some time since the commission approved the form of the lease that was put out for an advertisement, and the Everglades Reserve Holding responded to that advertisement. So we pulled out that lease, and I'm going to be meeting along with Mr. Williamson, with Mr. Lambert on the 30th next week to finalize that and make sure everything is agreed upon by all the parties, is signed off, so there won't be any delay at all when the state approves us moving forward. That can immediately come on your next agenda and be approved.
Commissioners, as it pertains to the marina lease, any comments, concerns, or questions you have at this time for the city attorney or the city manager? Okay. Any additional reporting?
Unless you have any questions of me.
Okay. Hearing none, we'll move right on. Thank you, city attorney.
Yes, sir.
We talked about the potential foreclosure on.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Okay.
Okay, the Code Enforcement Department sent over to me the potential foreclosure of 484 East Jordan Boulevard. And I put it on the agenda so we can move as quickly as possible on that. I just got the title report on that property this afternoon. And it turns out that property is assessed at about $53,000, but there's a prior mortgage of $70,000 to the federal government, several tax liens, which means that it is not really profitable or in your best interest to try to foreclose on that property. Somebody else is going to have a lien that's going to knock you out, and you'll be wasting your time and effort. So until I find something in addition to what I've already got, I would ask that we just postpone that item until further comments from me.
Okay. In the meantime, are we gonna continue with code violations and fines?
Well, the fine's already against the property, and that fine is a lien against that property and any other property that person owns for the next 20 years. So if that person ever sells that property, they're going to have to pay off your lien. If it goes for taxes, it's going to still be subject to your lien if anyone buys it for taxes. So the lien's still going to be there. And we'll just have to wait and see if someone buys it, pays the taxes off, and then maybe it'll be worth your while to move forward on foreclosure at that point. You know, I'd like to point out that this is sort of a common thing that happens. Not, just recently, we were notified by someone who did buy a property for taxes, and now they find that it's subject to a large city lien. They realize the lien is so great that it's not going to be worth their while, even though they've paid the taxes. They've offered to possibly transfer that to the city. The problem is, it's still got a lot of taxes due on it that the city would have to pay off. So I've recommended that we not even take it for free. So that's where we are on some of these properties.
Okay. And the memo from the audit committee?
The audit committee, you have in your backup a copy of the Florida statute requiring you to have one. At your workshop, you indicated you would like to advertise more widely for members of that committee before you proceeded. So a motion to authorize the manager to go ahead and advertise that position, bring back all the applicants within, you know, possibly the next meeting, would be appropriate.
Commissioner Everett, would you like to make that motion, sir?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I'd like to offer a motion that we advertise for the audit committee and be prepared for decision-making at our February 26th meeting.
Thank you, sir. Can I get a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Hill that we advertise, have staff advertise for an audit committee and hopefully have the application ready for approval at our next commission meeting. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote?
Sorry, Mayor. He said February 26th, and you said the next commission meeting.
I thought we were going to do for, advertise for a solid 10 business days, I'm assuming. And it was.
That'll take you
said
to the
in-
next commission meeting, not the 26th. as he-
But I thought he said, I thought we came up with to the conclusion that we were gonna do the meeting after that meeting.
Well, we were talking about the truck ordinance for that issue, I think. You wanted to, under your comments, I think you'll bring a motion to bring back that truck ordinance, advertise it for 10 days and bring it back, not the next meeting, but the
Okay,
one
I'm
after at the
sorry.
workshop.
I'm sorry, okay, I think I combined, okay.
Yep.
So, yeah, for the next meeting.
Well, we have enough time to advertise and bring those applications back for the next commission meeting. We got
Yeah, I
3
think he's
weeks.
gonna
Yeah.
amend that to the
Okay.
next,
Yeah, we'll amend
next
it
meeting. We're gonna consider
to our
that.
next commission meeting. I got two concerns,
Okay.
crossed up, I apologize.
Yes,
So
sir.
for 12.
Okay.
Thank you.
In additional questions, I have one additional question to the manager. How are we planning on advertising for the audit committee? Remember we say the website,
We put it on our website, put it on our Facebook. I don't really think we need to put it in the Palm Beach Post, city attorney. do we?
No, you don't.
Yeah.
It's up to the commission how they want to
Yeah.
advertise.
I mean, we'll be expending
Any-
$400-500 for
any other
10 days.
suggestion how we can get the word out, Commissioner?
I think, social media outlets that we have and the
Yeah.
website, being that it's, restricted to the city, I would hate to spend money, put in the posting.
Okay,
Okay.
will do.
Hearing no additional question, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin. Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Now we'll move to new business. We don't have any new business. We already did an update for the marina, which should be a standing item on our agenda. Citizen comments and general concerns. At this time, City Clerk, do we have any comments card from citizen?
We have one from Ms. Joanne Culberson.
Culberson, 1621 East Main Street. I have just heard that Dollar General was up for sale. Is the city aware of that?
I haven't heard anything.
Haven't heard anything of that nature.
Really?
No one's contacted the city. I think it's a private proprietor. It wouldn't indicate.
The other thing is too, the trucking thing. Right now, there's not a lot of trucks in the neighborhoods because of the season. But once the season goes down, then the trucks start getting back in the neighborhoods and they overhaul them and all. As long as they're running, they're staying on whoever they haul for. But that is something that needs to be addressed before the season does go down.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'm not aware of Dollar General being up for sale. I will reach out to the corporate office and get some clarity on that.
It's listed
Yeah.
on LoopNet.
Yeah.
LoopNet, I couldn't think of it. It's listed on there. There's 2 or 3 of them listed on
They're selling the location.
Listed for $2 million.
Right. I'll look into it, Mayor, and see what's going on. Wasn't aware of that.
And during the interim, whether doing it good or not, it would be a great idea if the city commission individually could just stop by there and just speak with them to see if there's anything that the city can do to, promote their businesses or whatever. Just show that we're concerned about the potential of them leaving the city.
You're saying the Dollar General?
The Dollar General, right on the corner.
Oh, they said they
Yeah.
were.
We done heard it before. 'Cause I went and spoke to him and asked him, if there's anything the city can do. I heard you all was considering leaving the area or whatever, but it's just a good gesture.
Yeah, it would be great. I mean, it's listed for sale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, are there any additional comments, Corey?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we're down to the comments, concerns of the city commission. And I would like to say, city commissioners, we have did an excellent job for time management. We'll start with Commissioner Mervin.
I have nothing to say, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh.
Whoa.
Gotta go to work.
Don't you dare, Everett. Do not dare.
We'll let him
Commissioner
talk, long as
Everett-
don't preach a sermon.
Commissioner
I
Everett
know you
passed
got
the
a few
baton.
things we need to get.
Just for clarity, we're bringing up the truck, we're bringing back the truck ordinance, but I wasn't clear of whether or not we set the date.
I think you need, actually, you need to do a motion now.
Okay, all right.
To bring it back when you want it brought back.
That's my only concern. So I would like to offer a motion that we bring back our ordinance that we tabled with regards to trucks and parking in residential areas, advertise and be prepared for a public meeting during workshop on the 26th of February.
Second.
At 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Right, okay.
And can it be more than 30 minutes?
Let's do 5:30 then, so we can give ourselves
5:30.
an hour.
Okay.
We'll just do a little early.
Which date is that?
February 26th.
February 26th at 5:30.
Can I get a second?
That's the second.
Been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Hill that we bring back the table ordinance and have a public hearing and this discussion on February 26th at 5:30 p.m. here at the chamber. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioner. The motion passes by unanimous vote. That's it, Commissioner Everett.
Yes.
Commissioner Walker.
I have one concern. At the last meeting, we as the attorney give us, duties of the clerk and the city manager.
Were we able to get a job description of the city manager and city clerk?
We, no,
I
okay,
usually
my
bring it with
thing
me, but
is,
we can
my,
print it out and give it to her. We can email it to her. I can print it out and have it.
Yeah, we give
I'll
it
give it
to
to
one,
her,
just
yeah.
give it to everybody.
Yeah.
Make sure
Yeah.
Commissioner Walker get it and the rest of us can put it
exactly,
in our
because
boxes.
we need them.
Yeah.
We do need it for everybody to be on the same page.
Sure. It's not a problem. I'll print it out.
Okay, I thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Commissioner Walker. Commissioner Hill,
Have a good evening, everyone.
thank you. This meeting is adjourned.